We are grateful that we're able to gather here today, again, for another edition of Micat Weekly Press Briefing. This platform continues to do justice to the people of Liberia, through which we keep them informed of the government's programs and deliverables. For our lineup today, we have Dr. Francis Micat, the Chief Medical Officer of the Republic of Liberia. He's going to be speaking along with Mr. Peter Clement, who's the advisor of WHO in Liberia, and they'll be speaking on the upcoming World Health Day celebration. They are also going to be they are accompanied by the Deputy Minister of Gender, Lady May Sherman. We also have Dr. Micat, who is the principal investigator for Partnership for Research on Ebola virus, and he'll be speaking on the continuation of the Ebola virus study, which is being simultaneously conducted in Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. And in the house, we will have speaking on an upcoming cultural event, the Assistant Minister for Culture, Joyce Kempen, and also the Deputy Minister of Administration, Andrew Temmie, who will be speaking on the upcoming Opening Government Partnership, which takes place next week. And so we'll begin the program immediately by inviting Assistant Minister Kempen to the podium to speak to the issue of the upcoming cultural event.
Good morning. I have with me Ms. Maya Cooper, Event Marketing Manager for Destiny Entertainment Center, and Ms. Mene, Queen of Neighbor Music. She's here with us from the United States to grace this occasion. The Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, in collaboration with Destiny Entertainment, will be hosting a series of events on ethnicity and culture to address the current decline in cultural practices. The event is called the County Cultural Extravaganza. The project consists of a series of artistic events in and out of Monrovia, beginning this Friday, April 7, 2017, with Micat County. What to expect at this event? We'll be having music from Micat, arts from Micat, history of Micat County, message of peace, especially because we're going towards election and I think it's a major thing for us. So we're adding a message from Micat County to the people of Micat County on what it is for us to maintain our peace and stability in elections and after elections. We also have drama from Micat County also, and then cultural dances. This event open with Micat County, but after this event opens up, we will be going to Micat County for a series of other events there. And then next month is going to be another county, Spring Basel. And then after that, we have other counties who, every county will be participating. The most important thing is that we're bringing culture, competition, and enlightening people about parts of our culture that is totally declining due to most of us now wanting to practice it anymore, or as you know, because of the war, most people have to go to different countries, and most children were born out of Liberia and raised into other cultures that were not their culture. So we're trying to bring them back to where they came from and help them to practice, not just practice, but learn the Liberian culture. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Minister Kempen. We now invite Deputy Minister Andrew Terry for his presentation.
Good morning. I'm excited today to be talking about the Open Government Partnership and the visit of the Chief Executive Officer of the OGP to Liberia. Sanjay Pradhan comes to Liberia next week with a delegation and participate in a series of events that's coming up. But because there's not a lot of people that know about the Open Government Partnership, I thought to show you a quick 4-minute video, and then afterward give you a schedule of the activities that will be happening. Hello.
Simple and since governments serve the people, they should be open to the people.
The strongest foundation for human progress lies in open economies, open societies, and in open governments.
The Civil Society meeting at iLab, iCampus, 2, and after the Civil Society meeting, we're also going to have a donor meeting. The goal of the donor meeting is to explain the progress we made and how we can solicit more funds to implement some of the commitment, especially Liberia is in the process of developing the 3rd national commitment. We've had the 1st, the 2nd, and we're in the process of developing the 3rd national action plan. So Sanjay is going to be part of those meetings. And then on the 12th, he's going to be meeting President Sadi, and is also going to be taking part in a high-level workshop. We are bringing all cabinet ministers and deputy ministers, head of autonomous agency, head of commissions. It's a hard policy workshop that is intended for policymakers, and the goal is to showcase the OGP in Liberia and to discuss sustainability of the OGP during the transition and after the transition. As you know, we're going through election. OGP itself has 75 members. It's a partnership of both government on one side, civil society and the private sector on the other side. Out of 75, African countries have 12. There are 12 African countries, including Liberia, that make up the OGP. At this high-level event, we intend to have a panel discussion, even though we will be having a nice presentation from Sanjay Pradhan, but we are also going to be having a panel discussion where we have Dr. Sawyer, Libadi Warner, Peter Kukwek, Sanjay himself, and Brandon Meyer sit on a panel and discuss different issues related to the various sectors they come from. So it's going to be interesting. It's difficult for me to say you as a press, you are invited to all of these events, but it's going to be strictly for high-level officials of government policymakers, and we hope to see you there as member of the press. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Minister Terry. Well, as is customary, before going on to our speakers, I'd like to address a few issues concerning the government. The news outlets have been abuzz with reports of the President's appointment of individuals to the Ombudsman Committee, consistent with the Constitution and the Code of Conduct. We've listened to commentaries on the radio and followed same on the internet, wherein qualifications of the nominees have been questioned, as well as the wisdom of the President in making these appointments. We would like to say that aside from the oversight, which has promptly been addressed relative to the nomination of Attorney Mansa Jaliba, the President's action was well informed, and the individuals named are equal to the task at hand. They are lawyers, and as a lawyer myself, I can tell you that becoming a lawyer is not an easy thing. Law school is rigorous, and the fact that they were able to go through that successfully means they're competent. And if I should specifically go into the qualification of the two individuals remaining on the Ombudsman Committee, I would like to say that the chairman, Councillor Christian Clarence Massacoy, is very experienced. He's worked for a long time, both in and out of Liberia, in the security sector, and has come up with flying colors. Clarence Massacoy, aside from his law degree, holds a master's degree in criminal justice administration. He also has a BSc in management with emphasis in economics. Christian Massacoy, as you all know, has served as Director of Police, Commissioner of Immigration, Director of the Special Security Service, now EPS, Executive Protective Service, and served in those capacities with distinction. Councillor Massacoy was Chief of Investigation Unit of the United Nations Security between 1998 and 99 in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Eastern Europe. He also served as border monitor of the United Nations Administration in Eastern Slovenia, Baranja, and Western Samoa. Councillor Massacoy has also been Relief Officer of the European Community Office of the Eastern Denmark Humanitarian Operations. So I'm saying all this to say that the President made no mistake in appointing Councillor Massacoy. And then we'll go on to the next person, Attorney Dillon. Attorney Dillon is serving his term as Justice Minister as Special Assistant. He's very qualified for the task ahead, and we have no doubt that they will perform. And so, Madam President made no error. For those of you who have doubts, we encourage you to wait and see what those appointees will do once they've been confirmed to do their work. Secondly, on the 26th of March, which was last week, we saw that after almost 30 years, the reputed international Royal Dutch Airlines KLM resumed flights to Liberia. What does this mean? It is obviously a huge vote of confidence in the economic development and security of our country. thanks to the leadership of Her Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, ably assisted by Vice President Joseph Walker. So, and if you look around you, across the country, there's no doubt that a lot has been done in terms of development. There are those wearing pessimistic lenses who continue to say that nothing is being done in our country. I would like to assure them that if nothing is being done, if what we see is nothing, then we say nothing has been redefined. And the President has espoused a new definition and is committed to sticking with that nothingness to the close of her regime. So let me end on that note and move on to our speakers. And so I'm honored to now invite to the podium Dr. Francis Ketten. Dr. Ketten is the first African Public Health Director in North Carolina. He holds a Doctor of Medicine, Master in Health Administration. He's an adjunct professor at Cornell University. He holds a Master in Homeland Security with emphasis in disaster preparedness and planning. So let me now invite to the podium Dr. Francis Ketten.
You hear the names of people and then you meet them for the first time and you are well impressed. So thank you all so much. To the Micat team, you have done an extremely job, most especially during the time of the Ebola crisis. You play a major role. And so you continue that, and we appreciate that because we feel that you cannot change the health indicators in this country when our people are not educated. And I think you have provided a platform where education to our people becomes foremost. I also want to say a big thank you to our press. You have been there from the beginning, and I hope you continue to the end. Thank you for the job you've been doing. But today we are here to talk about something that is very, very critical, not only to Liberia, but to the world. We are about to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the World Health Organization. This is very important because Liberia played a pivotal role in the establishment of the World Health Organization. As a matter of fact, the first Liberian to become a medical doctor, the late Dr. J.N. Toba, was a signatory to that declaration. And so Liberia plays a major, major role. And Dr. Toba just died recently, about 2 or 3 years ago. And he was the last person surviving until his death that was the original signatory to that declaration. But every year, the World Health Organization, looking at diseases and what has caused the major burden in terms of healthcare resources, and will always decide to flag that. So for this year, they are flagging depression. Depression is very critical to us as Liberians. To the world, it affects over 350 million people. But for us Liberians, it's very critical. Why? Because the calculation that is done for Liberia has to be increased. Why? We have gone through two major experiences. The first one was the Civil War. During the Civil War and after the Civil War, counseling was not done for many of those that were victims. And even those who were just a bystander, seeing what went forth, it has some psychological impact on them, and counseling wasn't done. Then just recently, we went through Ebola and saw what has happened here in Liberia. And what that has done is that it has potentiated the pre-existing conditions to increase that. So if we do a rough calculation, we will have over 1.5 million Liberians that are one way or the other going through some depressive, issues. So, what is depression? Depression is very, very simple. The definition is simple, and I think every one of us experiences that on a daily basis. And we may not take it into consideration until it begins to impact our ability or affect our conditions to the extreme that we are unable to do just regular things. So, for definition's sake, depression is a common mental health disorder. And under that, it is broken down into a couple of issues when it comes to depression. We have psychotic depression. And this occurs in an individual. But we say psychotic because it has some level of psychosis to it. What happens in psychosis? Under this situation, someone who is depressed begin to have what we call delusions. They hear things that may not be real. They may feel that someone is talking to them to do certain things and so forth. And they go through what we call hallucinations, where they see things that do not appear real. And people around will not see that and so forth. So that portion is determined as psychotic depression. Another one is postpartum depression. Postpartum depression occurs only in female. It is postpartum because it is after delivery. So many times, if a woman delivers, you have some chemical imbalances that may occur, and that person could go through a depressive mood. Sometimes the burden of taking care of this child, the inability, and the way you feel that, am I capable to raise this child and so forth, puts you into some level of depression. And if it is not diagnosed, could lead to a major problem. Then we have seasonal affective disorder, SAD. For us in Liberia, we don't have to worry about it too much because we don't have winter, we don't have summer, we don't have this and so forth. But what we observed could be during the rainy season and during the dry season, what happens? In Liberia, one of the things we see during the rainy season, and as clinicians, one of the things we observed that after the rainy season, within 9 months, what do we see? We see a lot of children, a lot of babies being born. Do we think there's something that is happening? We can think about that. Then we have bipolar disorder. And this condition comes with a mood swing. And it happens sometimes in young kids. You may see them all excited now. In the next few seconds, they switch into a depressive mood where they begin to cry and they feel sorry for themselves and so forth. Those are issues that affect us. And it's important that we all are aware and begin to take the necessary steps to help our people. So, there are others that will come after me But in short, I want to say to every one of us, and that is those in radio land, that depression is real. That if you know someone who has been in a particular state and you see some kind of changes, please take them to the hospital or to a clinic. The Ministry of Health and Cattle Center has trained lots of male-level clinicians that will be able to diagnose and begin to put people on treatment. If people are not treated, definitely it will turn into something bigger. We are seeing some of the consequences of it, especially among the young ones, with the abuse in alcohol, drugs, and other things. So please, let us take heed, or else tomorrow we will have another major crisis in our hands. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Clinton. We'd like to recognize the presence of Liberia's Court Ambassador, Julie Ely. So there are three persons speaking on the World Health Day celebration. And so we'll quickly go to the next speaker, who is Mr. Peter Clement, Demolition Advisor in Liberia.
Distinguished Prime Ministers, members of the press, our listeners who have taken the time to listen to this program, good afternoon. Today, as we start commemoration of the World Health Day under the theme Depression, Last Talk, this is to draw our attention to the burden of this common mental disorder. Globally, over 300 million people, or nearly 4% of the world population, are affected by depression. In our African continent, a region defined by WHO, constituting of 47 states, nearly 30 million people are suffering from depression. Therefore, this is one of the largest causes of disability in the world and contributes to the overall disease burden. In a situation of instability, including humanitarian crisis, it is estimated 1 in 5 persons has depression. And even within our families, women who give birth, the newborns are affected. Overall, the toll caused by depression and anxiety constitutes a huge global economic loss, which is estimated by economists to be close to $1 trillion a year. You have already heard from the Chief Medical Officer the burden of depression in Liberia. We don't have the exact figures, but the estimates seem to be high. The driving factors continue to exist. From the post-conflict, the poverty, substance abuse, high alcohol intake, unemployment, and of course, as mentioned by the first speaker, the recent Ebola outbreak are some of the driving factors that exist. You have heard what depression is, but I would like to highlight some few points that probably we need to take note of that are associated with depression. And this is the feeling of being guilty. You have disturbed sleep or appetite. One appears tired, inadequate concentration, loss of energy, indecisiveness, restlessness. One feels it is over, everything is hopeless. And all this include the thoughts of even self-harm or suicide. These are common things that we continue to witness. Let's take note that depression affects all people, all ages, and all of us are at risk in one way or another. By being depressed, there is another element that comes into play. This is the non-communicable diseases. Diabetes, heart problems, hypertension come into play as a result of depression. Or the other way, this disease also can lead to depression. Of course, in the circumstances where we are, the causes of this depression, we can enumerate few of them, but there could be more. The loss of loved one, a relationship that has broken down, poverty that continues to bite us, with many of our population living below $1 a day, the high unemployment rate that continues to affect most of our countries. We tend to solve our problems by turning into alcohol and substances. And of course, we cannot forget the situation of violence and war. All these factors are with us. However, like any other health problem, early recognition, when we recognize the problem earlier, the symptoms earlier, we can prevent depression from being a simple problem to a more chronic problem. Of course, when it's not attended to, people often, those who suffer from depression, end up with suicide. And of course, globally, the age group 15 to 29 commit suicide. Now, in our own society, stigma and the fear of social isolation are barriers that affect people with depression to seek help. One thing can be done, and all of us can do. Simply talking about depression can help prevent it. And I'm happy that the Ministry of Health, together with the Ministry of Information, have organized this platform for all our listeners to hear about depression. So simply talking about it can prevent it. And talking especially to someone you trust, that can help a lot. If no attention is given, depression can reoccur. It becomes recurrent and debilitating. It impairs the individual's ability to cope with their activities. And therefore, it has devastating effect on the individual, the family, their friends, and of course, it contributes to low productivity and overall contribution to national development. Our health systems in low developed countries, resources are not there. We recognize that the resources to prevent, to identify and treat mental health problems such as depression are limited. In almost most countries, of course, Liberia cannot be an exception. But this is a mental health problem that can be treated at a lower cost. We already heard about the relationship between depression and non-communicable diseases, and vice versa. And we think living a balanced lifestyle, taking enough sleep, balanced diet, regular exercise, which are some of the activities we can take to minimize the risk factors of non-communicable diseases. We need to protect, especially young ones, exposure to violence and other abuses can help to prevent depression. When it becomes a full-scale or full-blown up depression, besides the psychosocial intervention, of course, there are drugs. But I said importantly, the treatment involves the talking therapy. Let's talk to the people. Let's be open. And then where it has proceeded to another level, there are always medication, which the Ministry of Health provides. In other countries, and the studies have shown all over, that for every dollar we invest in treating depression and probably anxiety, the returns is almost $4 for better health and ability to work. Therefore, let's synthesize this, the effect of depression, the economic consequences that we have on the families and households, and overall on the national activity. As the World Health Organization recognizing these problems, and as being Secretariat of the Ministries of Health, WHO continues to support countries, including Liberia, through a number of approaches. One of it is capacity building, human resource training, especially the middle level. And I'm happy that the Chief Medical Officer highlighted that Liberia is training this middle level health workers, mainly using the WHO Mental Health Global Action Plan and also the Global Action Plan, Mental Health Action Plan 2013-2020. The innovative approaches that WHO also engages in ensuring that there is prevention and treatment for depression in low and middle income countries. The whole area of research to ensure that we have a cost-effective way of treating depression. And of course, there is a wealth of information that WHO provides and shares. And also platforms like these are very important for passing this message. Let me use this platform and this opportunity to inform the public to reduce depression, related stigma, and to offer opportunities to families, friends, and colleagues who are living with depression. Let's also join the Ministry of Health of this country to ensure that people with depression seek and get help. This is possible if we all become ambassadors today and our public is well informed on what depression is, key causes, and how do we prevent it. But importantly, encouraging our families, friends, and colleagues or people living with depression to provide the necessary support. Speaking to one, the closest friend to one of them, you could have helped a lot. We might not remember everything said here today, but there are a few key messages if you can take home and make sure it's part of our conversation. One is that depression is a common mental health disorder that affects people of all ages, all walks of life, all countries. Depression can cause mental anguish, but it can be prevented. And therefore, it should be prevented so that it does not affect individual contributions in the household and also in the community. If depression is not attended to, it can lead to suicide. And we don't want people dying from it. That it is a health problem but it can effectively be prevented and treated. Talking with the people you trust is the first step towards recovery from depression. With these few words, distinguished members of the media and the listeners, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Clement. Our last speaker in the upcoming Worker Day celebration is Deputy Gender Minister, Lady Sherman. Sherman, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. All protocols observed. I'm actually the Deputy Minister for Children and Social Protection, so I will speak briefly on depression in childhood and adolescence. Depression is a state of low mood and aversion to activity. It may be a normal reaction to occurring life events or circumstances, a symptom of a medical condition, a side effect of drugs and medical treatments, or a symptom of certain psychiatric syndromes such as mood disorders, major depressive disorders, and thalassemia. Depression in childhood and adolescence is similar to adult major depressive disorder, although young children may exhibit increased irritability or aggressive and self-destructive behavior rather than the all-encompassing sadness associated with adult forms of depression. Children who are under stress experience loss of half attention, learning, behavior, or anxiety disorders are at a higher risk of depression. Childhood depression is often comorbid with mental disorders outside of other mood disorders, commonly as anxiety and conduct disorder. Depression tends to run in families. I will talk in the context of Liberia. As I mentioned earlier, I'm the Deputy Minister for Children and Social Protection. And at the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, we work with our partners, UNICEF, Ministry of Health, Carter Center, intended to children who have suffered major changes in their lives, including the Ebola virus epidemic. We documented over 10,000 children who were affected by the Ebola virus, okay? And with the help of partners and GOL, we were able to not only provide money or some non-money supplies, but we provided psychosocial counseling because we were auto depression is rather new or have not really been advertised in our society, and most people think that children do not experience depression, given the society that majority of the rape victims are children. Children suffer the Ebola virus, they lost their parents, they lost one parent or two parents, or they themselves are infected. The ministry ensure that the social workers and the mental health clinicians that are in the field are working with these children. I have the opportunity and I get in the field on a quarterly basis because we do follow-up on where are the children now who suffer from the Ebola virus, who lost their parents. And I did a visit to Bon County, where I visited about maybe 40 households. And for a second, I forgot that I thought it was just my random visit to go see people suffering from poverty, how they're doing now, we are sending support. But I said to one of the social workers, I said, well, why are they so sad? Why do they look so timid? Why do they look so withdrawn? I forgot that I was actually visiting children who were affected by the virus. You understand? And that really touched me, that really hit me. And I said, you know what? During the Ebola time, it was emergency. we trained staff, we threw them in. They had to go and do what they had to do, to attend to families. But let's make sure that these staff themselves, because a lot of us are suffering from depression, but we don't even know it. Because as my colleague said, we tend to, we call it self-medicate, but we're drinking a lot. And some of us become very promiscuous with smoking because we're dealing with our sad mood. You don't know, I myself here maybe suffering from depression, maybe on medication, or maybe battling with some other way of treatment. So we're able to at least train our staff, give more capacity building to our staff, and to ensure, I said to the staff, you have to go back to make sure this child that was sad, because they are suffering. They lost their mother, somebody had to relocate, somebody lost their father, somebody lost both parents. Okay, I'm saying this to say that our children in Liberia, children all over the world, are the most vulnerable. Anything happens, women and children suffer the most. We suffer the most. So I'm saying this, that we should pay attention as a nation to work with our children, wherever they are experiencing. Okay, and let us detect, let us identify, and work with each other to help treat these children, because children grow up to be adults. If these issues are not handled properly as children, what's going to happen? They become menace of society. We shouldn't take this lightly. So I would say to our parents out there, the communities out there, if you detect a child is exhibiting certain behaviors that is not normal, meaning the child keeps crying, the child is constantly sad or acting up, because sometimes when the child is depressed, they find a way to act up. Their conduct is just not acceptable. In schools, we don't know. But I'll use this forum to say to the public again that we need to help our children. We need to identify these issues within our children and try to work along with our children. We have counseling. If there's no way for the counseling is not helping, we have the mental health technicians, we have the Grand Hospital who prescribe medication. Medication is the last result. Because if you try the talking therapy, which my colleague talked about, if the talking therapy is not working, of course we have to go to something more harsh, because there's a chemical imbalance, so the talking cannot help. Even the exercise, if it cannot help, then medication has to come in. But I'd like to thank the Ministry of Information, Ministry of Health, WHO for putting this forum together. And I would say to the press, you all are required to check your police out there. I would like for you to continue the good work and to carry the news to the public that depression is not only in adults, but children themselves can experience depression. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Sherman. Well, I'd like to thank our three previous speakers. The next item is also linked to the topic that was just discussed. This time it has to do with the Ebola study, which is ongoing in Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. And so we invite to the podium now Dr. Micat, who is the principal investigator of the Partnership for Research on Ebola.
Thank you. Thank you. Deputy Minister of Information, Councilor G.D. Ama, and members of the Micat family, Dr. Francis Kete, Chief Medical Officer of Liberia, colleagues from Brazil, Lagos, and NIH, other platform guests, members of the food estate, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first of all congratulate you, Mr. Ama, for your recent admission to the Supreme Court Bar as Counselor at Law. I wish to thank you and the Micat family for the opportunity afforded us to use this platform to reach millions of Liberians across the country and the world at large about the latest vaccine study being conducted in Liberia by Prevail, the Partnership for Research on Ebola virus in Liberia. As you well know, it's common knowledge, all three countries were mostly affected, And then we in Liberia, the leaders in Liberia thought it wise to join with the scientific leaders in Guinea and Sierra Leone to form a consortium. This consortium, the purpose is to share knowledge, technology, information on the various studies going on in each of these respective countries. And I'm proud to announce that through this regional effort, 4 days ago we started a vaccine study which we assessed 3 different test vaccine strategy in an effort to find out which showed the most promise to prevent or quickly control future Ebola outbreak. It is an extension of what we did in 2015. It's also an extension of what has been done in Guinea and Sierra Leone, the Ebola study, the RAIN study. Another reason for the study is to assess the safety and the ability of each of the different Ebola vaccine strategy to stimulate an immune response to the virus that may be protected. The key goals are to determine how quickly immune responses to the various vaccines are generated, how strong those immune responses are, how long will those responses last. The study will also continue to monitor the safety of the test vaccine in adults, and then we will also carefully test safety records in children. As when you learn, you heard from other speakers, children during the epidemic were vulnerable. 80% of those who were infected with the virus died. So this time, with most of the studies being conducted in Liberia and Guinea and other places, children were not included. So this time, the consortium, along with Prevail, our partners and sponsors, decided to include children. Guinea started their study last Monday, the 27th, as part of the multi-country effort. Sierra Leone will begin sometime in mid-May. So the strategies that we're going to be studying are 3 vaccines. There are 2 active vaccines and 1 we call placebo or salt water. Those participants who will be taking the vaccine will not know which of the strategies they will be taking. Even the PI or the nurses who will be conducting the study will not know what type of vaccine will be studied. And in that process, we call randomization. The process itself in Liberia we call, Coco and Missy, because they kind of throw the Coco, the Missy, so you wouldn't understand which one you have. The companies that are supplying us the vaccine are Janssen Vaccine and Prevention, part of the Janssen Pharmaceutical Corporation, of Johnson & Johnson, the Bavarian Nordic in Norway, and the Merck, Sharp & Dohme Corporation outside the United States and Canada. From our studies in Liberia and the one conducted in Sierra Leone and Guinea, there is no risk to the participant of becoming infected with Ebola. That is a confirmation. So that we encourage our participants to come to the site when they hear the announcement to participate in this regional project. In Liberia, because we have a couple of studies and don't want to confuse our participants, this is the 5th research study, so we call it PREVAIL 4 and 5. But in the region, it's called PREVAC, Partnership for Research Ebola Vaccination. It's going to be into 2 parts, which is ongoing right now. The first part will include 600 participants, ages 12 and above. The second part, which is expected in May, will include over 4,900 participants, 3,500 of whom will be healthy adults, both gender, from ages 1 to as long as you're older enough to come. And then 14 children over 1 year. Not everybody will be eligible for the study. We have exclusion criteria for pregnant women, those survivors, those who have participated in other vaccine studies, who have received the active vaccine, breastfeeding mothers. And at presentation, when you come to the site, if you have a high fever, you will be also excluded. So in the first part of this study, just one vaccine strategy, which includes 600 participants, will be given. That is the Janssen & Janssen AD26 vaccine, which will be compared to placebo. The prime boost will be given after 8 weeks. A booster will be given, compared with the same regime with the placebo. The second part of the study will evaluate all 3 vaccination strategies, including the Merck vaccine strategy, where 1 dose of Merck will be given after 8 weeks. Another Merck vaccine will be given. The second arm will be Merck, and then placebo, and then compare with placebo. To date, since we started this Monday, we have enrolled 4 participants. Today, we hope to enroll 2 participants, which will come up to 6. This is because we want to go slow. This is a multi-country process. We want to know the vaccination process that is going well. Guinea started with 2, they have increased to 3 participants per day, and we're going to see how we will go. When there's no problem, then we will increase to 3. For all those who will be enrolled in the process, you have to complete what they call an intake process, which will include, first of all, information section. At this section, we give enough time for participants to listen to the information and then ask questions, and then volunteer if they're going to be part of that process. And before we start any evaluation, the person also have to go through the review of the informed consent process, look at the rates and ask questions. Once they sign that, then we can begin any evaluation. So the central message here for everyone is that this study wants to know how safe the vaccines are in the various countries, how effective these vaccines will be, how long will the vaccine last to protect participants, and who qualifies to join the study. So again, the exclusion criteria will be those pregnant women, breastfeeding mothers, anybody who has a fever, participants who have enrolled in other vaccine studies with active vaccine, survivors also. And then, based on the judgment of the clinician, any condition that after evaluation, the clinician seeing that will limit the participant's ability to continue the study, that person will also be excluded. So again, I'd like to thank the Micat family for having us here to share this knowledge.